Think about it. It was all part of the plan. 50 Cent and Rick Ross, they set up Big Meech. Freeway Ricky, Rick Ross, and now you got 50 Cent. He owning the rights to
Google search for you says that your net worth is $20 million.
They said it, duh.
I know I got more money than that. I might go 70 days without looking at my exact total amount of my money because it gives me anxiety, keep looking at numbers all day. It's like when you put money in stocks, the stock trader told me, say, put a lot of money in stock, don't keep looking at that and drive you crazy.
Yeah, so look, I do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film.
Lil Meech just sent shockwaves through the whole hip-hop world. He's straight up accusing Rick Ross of playing his father, Big Meech, out of a mind-blowing $120 million deal. And now, the internet's losing it. What started as quiet whispers on social media has exploded into an all-out war. BMF versus Rick Ross, and neither side's backing off for a second. The streets are on fire, timelines packed with takes, and fans torn down the middle. Everyone's asking one thing. Did Rick Ross really finesse one of the most legendary names in street history, all for fame and fortune? It all began looking like the ultimate comeback story. Big Meech got released last October, and the culture was ready to celebrate. A legend coming home to rebuild, this time through business, film, and real generational power moves. Then Ross came in talking big money, flashing numbers, pitching that supposed $120 million film deal. He promised to turn Big Meech's name into a global legacy. Blockbuster movies, brand collabs, and even luxury endorsements. It sounded like a dream until it didn't. Word on the block says there was never any real deal behind the talk. No paperwork, no movie, no official backing. Just bold promises and heavy promotion. Insiders claim Ross worked the game like a pro. Smooth talking, showing off connections, and painting pictures that never came true. Big Meech saw loyalty, others saw manipulation. In the end, Ross walked away richer, and BMF's name was left tangled in confusion. One insider put it plain, people felt bad for Lil Meech, but the OGs should have known better. This wasn't friendship, it was business. And in business, loyalty doesn't protect you from being played. And right when things couldn't get messier, 50 Cent jumped in. The man who built the real BMF legacy through his hit show reminded everyone that he funded the series, he paid for Lil Meech's acting lessons, and he turned him from a street kid into a rising star. This story's getting wilder by the minute. 50 Cent built that BMF story from the ground up. He treated it with real respect and turned it into a full-blown TV phenomenon. But then Lil Meech shocked everyone by switching sides and rolling with Rick Ross instead of sticking with the man who helped him blow up. That move didn't just raise eyebrows, it kicked off a quiet war behind the scenes that eventually exploded into pure chaos. Once the tension hit, 50 did what he does best. He trolled with precision. He started clowning Ross all over social media, joking that Ross was sending Wingstop wings to Big Meech's prison like it was fan mail. But beneath the laughs, there was a serious message. Ross wasn't building the legacy, he was feeding off it. Then 50 took it to another level. He began spilling things fans had never heard before, saying Lil Meech was showing up to set looking rough, sometimes even throwing up during training, losing focus, and wasting opportunities. 50 even joked about finding whippets in Meech's truck, laughing that he had to Google what they were. "I'm just talking," he said. But the message was clear. He wanted the world to know he was the only one acting like a grown man while everyone else was playing games with the BMF name. Meanwhile, Lil Meech kept smiling for the cameras, partying with Ross, popping bottles, and posing like everything was sweet. But the streets weren't buying it anymore. People started calling that partnership fake, built on ego, pride, and empty promises. It didn't take long before fans flipped on him. Even Tony Yayo stepped in, reminding everyone that 50 had always been there for Lil Meech. No gimmicks, no fake loyalty, just real support from day one. But once Meech chose sides, the pressure started to show fast. The money slowed up, fame started fading, and frustration took over. That's when Michael Rainey Jr., better known as Tariq from Power, dropped a viral comment that shook the internet. He said he didn't feel bad for Lil Meech or Big Meech because grown men should have seen this coming. The clip spread like wildfire and the internet went crazy. Ross tried to flip the heat into promo, hyping up shows like nothing happened, shouting, February 13th, Miami, Detroit, a TL, get your tickets. But 50 wasn't letting that slide. He doubled down behind Michael Rainey's words, saying this whole situation just proved weak loyalty and bad judgment. The message was crystal clear. Lil Meech had chosen clout over loyalty, and Ross was once again eating off another man's name. And let's be real, this wasn't even Ross's first time pulling something like this. People close to him claimed he's got a track record of leaving his own team hanging, even letting his crew get jumped in Canada while he watched to test their loyalty. Cold, calculated, and classic Ross. Then just like clockwork, Ross tried to flip the script again, announcing some big budget BMF movie that he swore would outdo 50's TV version. He started dropping names like F. Gary Gray and Tarantino, but come on, that sounded like straight cap. And now, people are buzzing about the Big Meech concert getting canceled. The plot just keeps getting messier. What's wild is how nobody's really blaming Rick Ross for how all this went down. It's like people forgot who he really is. Ross was just doing what he's always done best, talking loud, staying viral, and keeping every camera pointed his way. But that's exactly when the narrative flipped, and suddenly the hip-hop world started seeing through his game. That's when Wack 100 jumped right into the mix, calling Ross the real villain in this entire story. And he didn't sugarcoat a thing. He said flat out that Ross was never loyal to Big Meech, just a manipulator using the BMF name to take slick shots at 50 Cent.
Would lead to February 13th, the Big Meech home benefit concert. It's gonna be iconic. Too many names to list, but let me salute some of the legends. Lil Baby, Boss Man D-Lo, 21 Savage, Sexy Red, Ricky Rose. Now, it's the first time it's ever been done. Me performing BMF with the icon himself. This shit be special.
Epic.
Get your tickets right now.
I'm back. That's simple. A lot of like to spend their money. We love to spend our money. We can't take none of this shit. None. Ain't no armored trucks pulling up at no funerals. Simple. So you better enjoy this. A fool and his money will part. We do this.
Wack made it clear. If Ross had real respect for Meech, he would have handled everything quietly. No flexing, no cameras. Instead, Ross turned it into a whole circus. It became a one-man show full of fake loyalty and louder-than-life clout. Every interview, every post, every flashy announcement, it was all centered on him, not the legacy of BMF. To the streets, it became obvious. Ross had one goal: keep the spotlight glued to himself. He paraded Big Meech's name around like a trophy, using that connection to boost his own image. And honestly, that said everything. Ross wasn't moving for the culture, he was moving for attention. From the start, he'd been playing both sides, hyping up Meech with all that million-dollar empire talk while quietly building his own empire behind closed doors. And while doing it, he even drove a wedge between Big Meech and 50 Cent, the same man who built the entire BMF TV legacy and gave the name new life. When the smoke cleared, all that was left were broken promises, empty headlines, and a trail of bad blood. Then Ross went online, running his mouth again, bragging about buying people's masters, mocking 50 Cent by name, saying he could buy his whole catalog anytime he wanted. And he didn't stop there. He even took shots at Lil Meech, claiming 50 had to take him out of Detroit just to teach him how to act. It was a slick little jab meant to humiliate them both, but in reality, it just showed Ross's obsession with being the loudest guy in the room. And when the spotlight finally started to fade, Ross did what he always does. He vanished. Word is he completely ghosted Lil Meech when things got rough. That's when the whispers started. Insiders began saying Ross was actually the reason Lil Meech's Welcome Home benefit concert got canceled. Everyone thought 50 was behind it, but people close to the situation said different. Ross didn't want Meech to regain his momentum. He wanted him out of the picture so he could keep acting like the one carrying the legacy online. To the streets, that was pure betrayal. Using another man's struggle for marketing? That's cold. Ross flipped Meech's name into clicks and views, and when it stopped serving him, he cut ties like it was nothing. Lil Meech tried to clap back online, calling 50 Cent an internet gangster, saying he was hiding behind social media for attention. But nobody bought it. Fans saw right through it. They said he was just trying to clean up the mess Ross left behind. By that point, the memes were everywhere. The internet was clowning the whole situation. People were calling Lil Meech the kid who got played in his own story. It was rough to watch, but it showed how fast this industry can turn when loyalty and money collide. And if you really look at Ross's history, the picture couldn't be clearer. Every time he links up with someone already respected, something messy follows. Deals go sideways, loyalty fades, people get left behind. It's a pattern. Look back at Maybach Music Group. Meek Mill, Whale, Gunplay, all once proudly repping under Ross's wing. But behind all that success came missing checks, shady paperwork, and endless frustration. The stories kept stacking up, Ross acting like a supportive boss in public while pulling strings in private. It was always ego over teamwork, control over collaboration. Over the years, that pattern became impossible to ignore. Ross isn't playing the game. He's moving the chessboard to make sure he's the one winning every single time. If Rick Ross really cared about BMF, he would have built with Big Meech quietly, honoring that legacy with respect, not turning it into a circus. But instead, he went public, fully aware that 50 Cent would bite back. This wasn't just about business anymore. This was about ego, pride, and power. 50 was protecting something real, a brand he built brick by brick, while Ross was poking the bear just to keep his name trending. Even Meek Mill, once Ross's right-hand man, eventually distanced himself after realizing MMG wasn't built for everyone to win. That spotlight only ever had room for one, Rick Ross. And now he's using the same playbook on Big Meech and Lil Meech, that so-called $120 million empire that was supposed to change lives. Just another ghost deal, all talk, no reality. Meanwhile, Ross walked away with another round of free promo, interviews, and followers. People started putting two and two together. Every time Ross's fame starts dipping, he finds someone with real credibility to leech onto. He did it with Drake during the MMG run, then with Meek, then with Larry Hoover's name, and now he's doing it all over again with Big Meech. But while Ross keeps chasing headlines, 50 Cent flipped the whole formula. 50 turned pain into power. Real-life stories into billion-dollar productions. Power, Raising Kanan, BMF. He transformed pain into profit and legacy into empire. That's the difference. One man builds, the other borrows. And the streets are watching every move. Fans started calling it straight. Ross is playing checkers, 50's playing chess. One's thinking ahead, stacking real wins, while the other's chasing quick clout and short-term hype. The truth's too clear to ignore now. Every time Ross steps into somebody else's world, that world ends up broken, confused, and left behind, while he walks off smiling for the cameras like nothing happened. At this point, Ross's game plan is crystal clear. He builds fame off other people's names, flipping their struggles into his shine. The question is, how many more folks are gonna fall for it before they catch on? Every time someone stands next to him, loyalty fades, but clout stays. That pattern's undeniable, and it's been there from day one. Because let's not forget, this all started with the real Rick Ross, the actual man whose name the rapper took while the dude was still locked up. He built his whole rap identity off another man's story. The real Rick Ross even took him to court, trying to reclaim his own name. But Ross didn't back down, he doubled down. He turned another man's real-life struggle into a multi-million-dollar persona, milking that myth until it became bigger than the truth. Then he did it again with Larry Hoover's name, dropping Chicago's legend into songs, visuals, and interviews like it was a marketing tool. He used those names, men who earned power in the streets, to boost his own fame. And now it's happening again with Big Meech, another legacy borrowed, twisted, and repackaged into Ross's brand. But this time, the streets are watching closer than ever. They see how Ross keeps turning real pain into content, real loyalty into clickbait, and real legacies into marketing campaigns. And while he keeps winning the attention game, the people he touches always seem to lose something: respect, peace, or reputation. Meanwhile, 50 Cent's name keeps getting stronger. While Ross plays the loud game, 50 plays the long one, stacking projects, flipping stories, creating value. He's not chasing validation, he's building empires. He warned everyone years ago about Ross, I called him a fraud, and now every word's playing out right in front of us. Fans got receipts, screenshots, and interviews proving Ross moves for attention, not authenticity. One viral comment said it best, "Rick Ross is a fraud, period." That line hit hard because it summed it all up. He didn't just damage a business, yo, he messed up an entire legacy chasing clout. When you really line it all up, the pattern speaks for itself. Ross builds his shine off people who already got credibility, steps in, makes big promises, and when it all collapses, he vanishes. From his MMG artists to his street ties, the ending never changes. Even that hyped up BMF movie he teased, dropping big Hollywood names like Tarantino and Antoine Fuqua, all smoke and mirrors, no script, no deal, no $120 million production, just headlines to stay trending while everyone else cleans up the wreckage. And now that Lil Meech is catching the backlash, people are starting to ask the real question. Did he trust the wrong person, or did he just get caught up in a game he never saw coming? Either way, it's a tough lesson, because in this industry, image is everything. And Ross knows how to play that game better than anyone. When things get quiet, he finds a new name to attach to, a new spark to stay relevant. It's what he's always done. The show never stops. Because for Rick Ross, the hustle isn't about legacy anymore. It's about staying loud enough to never fade away. Every time this pattern repeats, chaos follows, bridges burn, circles break, and somehow the only one left standing is Rick Ross. Even people who once called him family have started pulling away. Former associates say they were left behind, artists talk about shady contracts, and business partners describe him as all talk, no delivery. To them, Ross's empire isn't built on loyalty, it's built on illusion. Every move feels calculated for exposure, not connection. Every headline looks powerful, but deep down, it's all resting on someone else's foundation. And now the streets are asking the real question. Was Ross ever truly loyal to Big Meech, or was he just trying to become Big Meech in the eyes of the culture? Because when you break it down, it starts to make perfect sense. That BMF track that made Ross famous wasn't about honoring a friend, it was about embodying that image, wearing that identity, and soaking up the respect that came with it. That's the pattern. Ross has built his entire brand off other people's legacies, other people's stories, and other people's pain. The sad part, Big Meech's name deserved so much better. His legacy was meant to represent redemption, growth, and rebirth, not more controversy and confusion. But once Ross got involved, everything twisted. The message shifted from rebuilding a legacy to chasing online attention. And now that it's all unraveling, even fans are starting to wake up to how deep this really goes. They're calling it exactly what it is: manipulation, ego, and clout addiction. So what's next for BMF? Can Lil Meech rebuild the trust he lost? Can Big Meech reclaim his name and rewrite his own story the right way? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, 50 Cent's words keep echoing louder than ever. Real ones build, fake ones borrow. And right now, everybody knows exactly who's who. If you're tuned into the drama, drop your thoughts below. Who's really winning this war and who's just playing the game? Make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more stories that break down the truth behind the culture. Because this saga, it's nowhere near over. See you in the next one.